we live in a situation where you can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. It's very frustrating.
Amidst war and conflict, young women and girls face severe challenges and disproportionate burdens exemplified by places like Afghanistan, Ukraine, Palestine, Myanmar, Cameroon, Iran, Yemen, Syria, and South Sudan, amongst other countries ravaged by war. Around the world, women constitute an average 13% of negotiators, 6% of mediators, and 6% of signatories of major peace processes. Yet, women have led the way in asking for peace in many parts of the world. World YWCA believes in a world with peace and justice, wherein women's involvement and leadership is crucial and critical for effective peace processes and to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Globally, YWCA leaders work on peace, conflict resolution, and anti-violence efforts aligned with the UN resolutions and Sustainable Development Goal 16. To honor this, we have featured courageous young women peace builders from around the world who are dedicated and determined to ensure lasting peace and justice in their communities.
What is it like to live in a conflict-affected region?
It's a blessing, it's a privilege, but it's also hectic, it's frustrating, it's very difficult. It's a combination of all these things. Palestine is a beautiful country, as you know, and I think the importance of that is that it is the Holy Land and the cradle of so many religions, which make it a very special spot for all the people around the world. The unfortunate thing is we love this country, but we resent the fact that we are living under very, very difficult military occupation, the Israeli occupation. Life is not the same. Our mobility is so restricted. Our rights are violated. We face violence every day, whether physical, psychological, all that. We are living in a system that discriminates against us. It's a heavy racist, discriminatory system that discriminates against the Palestinians and pay taxes, and we pay all our dues for this occupation, yet we don't have voting rights. There are so many rights we cannot exercise. We are talking about justice. This is not justice. Just being in a place where there is an event, you could be running risk of being imprisoned. We have so many young men and women in prison right now, facing all sorts of torture, psychological, physical, and all that. And many times the lawyers are even prohibited from seeing them, so they don't have access to legal aid, or they don't even see their families. So you can imagine the kind of life that we're living, and you can imagine what this life means for young women.
It's really inspiring, at the same time frustrating. It's kind of unpredictable. You never know what will happen tomorrow or a day after that. For example, just recently, our implementation in Jabal Burhan has been stopped due to the conflict in Amhara region.
Winter will be 2 years, and we have still bombing in Kiev. Each week, sometimes each day. And for example, near my house, it's very loud. I hear air raid sirens. They are very loud, and sometimes they sound 5 or 10 times a day. You cannot imagine how mentally women have to feel. And this is really, yes, we all live in these conditions for big period. But I don't know how to say it. It's a challenge, and the challenge psychological issue. Yeah, even the fear little bit more or less gone, but psychologically it's difficult to know that each day you're living under this situation when anytime they can bomb you.
I grew up in a community which is patriarchal in nature, where girls were not really considered so important as boys, where I saw my classmates drop out of school because they were being sent into early marriages, and I had other friends who got pregnant along the way and they were sent out of schools because they were pregnant, and the boys who got them pregnant were free to continue their education.
What challenges do young girls and women face during war, conflict, violence, and instability?
The war influence very much on economic statement of livelihood of women. Second part, it's the mental health issues, because really women still suffer from anxiety. They don't understand what will happen tomorrow with them. They think they don't have a future.
Young women are already discriminated against at the social level, but now, on top of that, they face a very vicious occupation. So many of the women, by the way, in the country have to cross, for example, checkpoints to go to school. And sometimes they go through physical search, and they go through a lot of oppression, which has led to so many young women dropping out of school. This is so sad. Also, women here face lots of physical violence, not only on checkpoints, but when there are attacks in refugee camps, women have been beaten, women have been taken to prison. Also, some of the challenges these young women face is that poverty in Palestine is soaring and continues to increase because of the military occupation. So many young women are very poor, and unfortunately what is happening is that when the family faces poverty and they have to make choices, the end result is that the women are the ones who would stay at home, not go to school, and not get the health education or the health service.
We hardly see the government holding perpetrators accountable for their acts. Women also go through a lot of economic, financial issues. There are child marriages in the country as we are talking now. Young girls go through a lot of forced marriage and early marriage. We also go through gang rape. Soldiers, people who are in uniform, normally rape women who go out to fetch, could be firewood. Most of the women end up being raped. We don't have so much security, provision of security in regards to women. Like the same people who are supposed to give us safety are the same people that violate our rights. Sometimes we are raped and hanged. Sometimes we are raped and killed at the same time.
Women in Kurdistan, they don't have equal participant. They still are not having equality in the society, whether it comes to right, whether it comes to raising their voices, whether it comes to politics, economic, all these sectors. Women, they have there's lack of participation of women in this.
Tell us about your work, projects or initiatives that successfully contributed to peace and justice.
When I was working at the YWCA of Palestine, we started up a project called Fabrics of Our Lives. Here, I'm showing you a doll in this box. We produced these dolls. The young women actually produced these dolls. We have a booklet here which we produce, which has the stories of the women. So we call it Voices of Women. And this booklet, there are all these women with their dresses, by the way. They're original Palestinian dresses in the 1930s, 40s, 50s. But what makes also this very, very, unique is that at the end of each story, each of these women had something to say about peace. So they had a peace message. The idea behind that is that women suffer. Women are refugees. Women have suffered a lot of injustice. But women's voices for peace should be heard, can be heard, and should be put on the table of everyone. We also have run several programs where we have invited young women for psychological counseling and organized, sessions for them, not only to talk to the counselor, but also share their own stories with each other, and that has created a peer group of support, just by talking about their own stories with each other. You cannot imagine how much empowered they became, all these women. It's like, oh, I'm not alone. And this woman also faced that. And that woman also did this. And they also share how they overcame, all this.
Involved in YWCA project, Power to Change. It started with Power to Change project. So that project focuses also on women in conflict area for their economic empowerment. So, reaching out to these women in displaced women and women in conflict areas to provide them with some skills that they are interested, so that even though they have limited, opportunities, they can still earn some income for their family and for themselves. So, so that way, they are not left alone. They are being reached out, and then their voices are heard, and the women are, connected.
Yeah, there are different tools that we as young people can use. I myself using my social media platforms for such beneficial purposes, like giving awareness to young people. I mostly use LinkedIn with international friends, and also in the Middle East or with the West. Instagram as well. Facebook. I use all these social media platforms so that I can give as much as impact for the young people around me. I think it's very crucial and very impactful for the whole people, so that it's one of the ways that we can advocate.
Gender-based violence is a cankerworm that is eating society, and when a cankerworm eats society, it will take some time. But within a period, you realize that it will crumble. Because it has crumbled, it is a vice that inflicts pain in a society and changes how things go on in a society. Gender-based violence is specifically, women really suffer a lot from these issues. And within my work, I've been exposed to so many women's stories. I've had to work as a caseworker on GBV. Women don't even know what GBV is all about. Women are being abused. They don't know what women's rights are all about. We just believe in the issue of the few people who are opportune and privileged to have access to connection or internet or education, who know what human right is. A woman who lives in a rural community in Cameroon who has not seen the four walls of a school and have no access to the internet might not know what GBV is all about. And that is where we begin the work.
What advice would you give young girls, women, and fellow peace builders?
We should have awareness about all the challenges and the injustice that is happening in Iraq. Also, I really encourage young people, especially young ladies, to educate themselves when it comes to their rights. If we educate ourselves about our rights, then we can advocate for it. If we advocate for it, we can make change.
I advise young women not to be afraid, to be strong, to make their voices heard, and to insist on being on the table.
Them is one, they should educate themselves. You need to start by gaining a solid understanding of peace. They are supposed to build skills. And then the other point is you need to seek mentorship. You cannot say, I know everything. You're supposed to be guided on the right things that a peace builder is supposed to obtain. You need to also network. You are supposed to collaborate and learn more skills. You need to volunteer in bringing peace in your country. You're supposed to advocate for gender equality. A peace builder does not support one gender.
What is your vision for the future of your country and the hopes, aspirations, and opportunities for girls, young women, and youth?
Peaceful, where women can go to school, can go to work, GBV free environment. When I say GBV, domestic, public life, on transportation, on work, it's always hindering the women from becoming an excellent leader. So peaceful environment so that our kids can go to school safely, no worries, when you just woke up in the morning and feel safe.
I have hopes for this country, because when I look at the other countries, I read books and look at other countries that are in Africa that has gone through worse than South Sudan. So me, I have a hope that one day, even if not in my generation, another generation will see peace in this country.
And I see many people here change their consciousness, and they started to understand what is going on, why war is happened. And I hope that people will build more harmonic future here after the war. I hope.
So peace builders often, hope for increasing international cooperation. I myself hope for international cooperation and support to address global conflict, and also diplomacy can play a significant role in resolving complex conflicts, because when it comes to stability, economic growth, social impact, improvement, peace builders need support in this matter, and I have high expectations that through all the points that I have mentioned, we can make change, a better change for young women and ladies in Iraq.
I want to ensure that peace becomes a reality in my country, Cameroon. I want a Cameroon free from violence. I want a Cameroon where our children are able to go to school. I want a Cameroon where there will be no reason for us to be subjected to stay at home because of guns being fired. I want a Cameroon which is empathetic, a Cameroon where human beings will love each other, and a Cameroon where women will be whatever they want to become and take up leadership positions, because they deserve to be in those positions if they dare to dream.
Injustice is not eternal. It doesn't stay forever. Justice wins at the end. And we know at one point, we Palestinians will have freedom, will be free, and we will live in peace and justice. It is going to take time. But we are patient, and we have proven that we have resilience, we have hope,